Got water to move or fires to fight?
Here's how Davey does it.
Davey self-primers, guaranteed. Need lots of water pressure?
Here's how Davey does it.
Davey pressure systems, guaranteed. All Davey pumps, guaranteed.
Meet your local Davey bloke. He's a water expert.
Get to your local Davey bloke.
He's a water expert.
At Davey, when we talk about new products, we mean the whole thing, including the electric motor. This new range of products called for a totally integrated TEFC design that would operate reliably in both Australian and overseas environments. Going back a long time when we were in the tool room, and we managed to acquire a brand new milling machine, which was a big deal in those days. It was a big expense, and of course the unit was set up. The directors were invited to come for a demonstration. The tool room was cleaned and polished, the floor was polished, everything was nice. And unbeknownst to anyone, during the lunch break, one of the apprentices decided to heat up a brick, put it in the pedestal of the machine, and as the directors came past and switched on to demonstrate how good this machine was, he dropped an oily rag on top, filled the whole thing with smoke, and yeah, it was quite a disaster for the people who were left in the tool room. After the foreman and the general manager get through with them, I can tell you that. But it was quite quite comical. He didn't cop any of the wrath, because as soon as he dropped a rag, he just went home.
Pump casings are pressure tested to about 4 times their maximum working pressure. In this rig, we burst the casings to destruction to determine their actual burst pressure. The results of these tests allow us to optimise the materials for maximum strength. I've seen up to 300 new products introduced in 1 year. I mean, that's line items, all right? If you included ISOspec, forget it. I mean, that's 500 different models in a year. When I first started, I suggest that we had Dynaflows 1 year, Dynajets the next year, and that would be it.
The heart of any centrifugal pump is the impeller, and at Davey we used computer technology to optimise its efficiency. I'd say the highlight of my 25 years service would be the opportunity to design a new control system for the Davey pump pressure system range, the HydroScan. We started with a blank sheet of paper and thought of the best way of going about it. We started from square one, consulted a university professor, and did some experiments with a thermistor in a glass of water, moving it back and forth, and got a signal for the control of a pump via flow rate rather than pressure. So things went from step 1 to step 2, etc., and eventually we developed the HydroScan, which was patented and is now produced in large numbers.
Bobby was up in the bathroom preparing herself for a date. Dad was hosing the garden, then Mum started washing the plates. "Excuse me, my little lady," said the stranger dressed in black. "Your water just dropped its pressure, but I'll soon get it all back." Well, if your pumps ain't pumping water like they oughta, get a Davey.
Davey's revolutionary XP pressure systems are like no other because of the exclusive HydroScan, which eliminates cycling and protects your pump from running dry. Don't be caught out.
With these models, we still take extra care. We fit this model with an overload and we insulate all the wiring. I think everyone should produce quality pumps, and that's our idea to make quality pumps. We've checked the performance and everything on the pumps, so I'm hoping that our quality is better than anybody else's quality.
I think it's been great working. I've never had any blue with anybody in here in the 43 years I've been here. No. It's just been great working.
I think our innovation things, as some of our design awards show, I think we've been pretty inventive in in some of our products, especially with the latest thing with the Celsius unit. And I think the SRA has been a huge investment into because big irrigation things and that never been our forte in days gone by. We're always only household, domestic, pool and that sort of stuff. So that's probably opened up another avenue to the company to go in a bit bigger in some of the other areas that we're not strong in. We haven't had huge changes from management level. I've only ever known 3 general managers in 35 years, which I suppose says something for either the calibre of the person or the company to work for, I suppose, I don't know.
Fire remains one of nature's most destructive forces. A versatile Davey Firefighter Plus is an invaluable asset to any property. Talk to your Davey Master dealer about the versatility of the twin impeller Davey Firefighter Plus range. Remember, you can depend on Davey.
A short history of F.W. Davey and Company Proprietary Limited, thought to have been compiled circa 1963. The company was started by Mr. Frank Davey in June 1934 in a small shop containing 1,320 square feet at 25 to 27 Berkeley Street, Carlton, with a staff of 5, and the business was automotive repairs. It progressed at a moderate rate with a corresponding increase in staff to 25 until war broke out in 1939. Mr. Davey then turned to manufacturing, and one of the first units made was a gas producer for motor cars to offset the rationing of petrol. Defence contracts from the Army, Navy and Air Force were obtained for DC electrical equipment, and during these years, Davey products were constantly in use with the armed forces, particularly our blower motors for the Army and Air Force for cooling radio valves, fuel pumps, motors for aircraft, green turret motors, and refrigeration motors for the Navy, and in jungle warfare, our hand-operated generator sets for wireless transmission. These were but a few of the Davey manufactured products used by the Defence Forces. During this time, the shop became hopelessly out of date and far too cramped for the business and personnel, which had now increased to an average 77, which included female workers in the factory for the first time. The top floor of 566 Elizabeth Street, Melbourne, which was a continuation of the building in Berkeley Street, Carlton, was obtained, and portion of the factory personnel and office staff was moved to more commodious quarters. The immediate post-war period saw the shop pulled down, and the erection of a double-storey factory, which went right through to 566 Elizabeth Street, Melbourne. The factory and offices were now a double-storey brick building, with access from both Elizabeth and Berkeley Streets. With the expansion of manufacturing activities, storage space for raw materials and finished units became an increasing problem, and we obtained further factories in Cobden and Barry Streets, North Melbourne, for use as stores. While the question of larger premises was being discussed, the manufacturing of our DC electrical equipment was continuing to expand until we were the largest manufacturers of this particular component in Australia. Nationwide, our manufacture was for the man on the land and included domestic home lighting plants, giving every farmer city amenities regarding electric light and electrical aid on the farm. And in the home, small fractional horsepower motors for use in domestic washing machines and refrigerators, DC welders, inverters, generators and alternators. These units have been sold throughout Australia and overseas. The manufacturing of the DC welders necessitated the setting up of a fabrication department, which consisted at that time of 1 process worker. Some of the larger contracts we obtained included automatically controlled and charging lighting plants for unmanned lighthouses around the coast of Australia, home lighting plants for the CRB camp and amenities, motors for hydraulic and mechanical lifts, motors for automotive totalisators, motors for safety devices as used in the mines of New South Wales, fluorescent lighting in railways by inverter, and control gear. It is interesting to recall that one of our early post-war motors was used in an iron lung for a polio victim who had to travel interstate. During this time, the original type of automotive repair was still being conducted in a very cramped and confined area, and this particular branch of the business was eventually sold in November 1948 to make room for the ever-expanding manufacture. In 1949, the first pump was made, which was known as a general duty pump and junior water pressure system, 1/2 and 1/3 horsepower capacity, capable of drawing water approximately 15 feet. From this modest beginning in the pumping field, we now manufacture pumps up to 10 horsepower, capable of drawing water 150 feet, or 10,000 gallons per hour, or delivering against 400-foot head. We are now bringing to the farmer and country people the water amenities of the city, as we did with our DC electrical equipment. Some of our most popular types of pumps at the present time include packaged automatic jet water pressure systems, jet pumps, deep well single-stage centrifugal pumps, multi-stage centrifugal pumps, engine-driven pumps, and sump pumps. With the pumps are our own manufacture of 15, 40, 60, 120 and 180-gallon tanks. This company was the first in Australia to market water pressure systems. In electrics, we are manufacturing TV rotary inverters for country use operating on low voltage, general-purpose rotary inverters, AC and DC welders, dynamotors for industry and technical schools, electric dynamometer, variable speed motors, and associated control equipment and alternators, as well as a small quantity of our older types of units. This shows briefly the types and quantity of product